Hello all, Rick here with a review and lore drops from Star Trek Discovery Episode 8, Labyrinths. Before I start, I need to say something. Keep things civil in the comments sections, please, especially when talking to one another. So, getting in there, this episode was a great look into the character of Michael Burnham, and it's honestly appreciated to see this actually vulnerable, self-reflective side of her. I'll get to that. First off, we enter the Badlands, and it's as dangerous as it ever was, perhaps even more so considering that it's usually only smaller ships that fare well in here. Even Voyager was smaller than the Crossfield 2 class Discovery. They catch the severe turbulence and plasma discharges that the region is known for, and in fact we get confirmation that it is the largest plasma storm in the Alpha Quadrant, a veritable red-eye locale. However, Discovery makes it into a calm pocket, where the archive station is located, and you can tell it's safe because it's blue. Lower decks really do be calling it like it sees it, huh? So, my only real criticism of this episode came from the Breen front. Primarch Rune is a moron. That's literally what I put in my notes. He's clearly disregarding everything that is important to the Breen in favour of power to a megalomaniacal extent, breaking oaths, mistreating a political figure, risking war, all for the sake of something that he thinks will give him power over the Breen Imperium. Yet at the same time, he clearly does not trust Mol's information. So he's risking alienating himself from his followers entirely on a bet that she's telling the truth. He clearly sets himself up for failure, and it comes off as short-sighted villainness for the sake of being evil, breaking his Tergoon oath and destroying Breen relics just because. It was no surprise then when his soldiers turned on him, although I do still find it a little painful that they seem to be following Mol's lead now. Saying that, she does clarify that their motivations, and hers, is to resurrect Lark as a legitimate heir, the Scion as his title is, and have him lead. I just found their switch a little hasty, and it could have been something that was worked in a little earlier, even at the risk of seeing Rune's deposition coming. Honestly, this might be a way to earn some peace with Breen in the long run, as Lark has been, well, not amiable to Starfleet, but less hostile. If he can be resurrected, it would go a long way to smoothing things out with them. Having said this, the highlight for the episode was watching Burnham try to navigate this mindscape program created by Derek's and deal with the not Booker. David Ajala did a good job with his inflections to come across as a program reading from some basic guidelines, and the fancy librarian uniform helped. So, with Burnham in this mindscape, she quickly deduces it's a test of sorts, but not what kind. Turns out the ultimate answer is to basically open up about herself and her innermost feelings to the program, even her weaknesses, so that the tech can be passed to someone who is capable of self-reflection, someone more likely to be thoughtful and responsible with it. Of course, she only comes to this realisation at the very end, when she is actually told so. Until then, she's been analysing and trying to solve puzzles through logical deduction, unaware it doesn't matter at all. It's good to see elements of her Vulcan upbringing come into play here. She sees a labyrinth and tries to map it out, solve a puzzle. She tries to locate where the book would be, assuming that the lessons that the library contains is history. So the test is to see if she can learn from it. She tries to solve the puzzle. All very logical conclusions to draw, based on speculation and assumption. When she finally realises the test is more about her personality, she begins to rattle off cliches that honestly feel very generalised to most people in life. She thinks that her unresolved issues with Book might be the problem, because that's what she does. She fixes things, she solves things, she tries to solve the puzzle. She's Michael Burnham. She gets things done. The beginnings of the answer are forming at last, and she responds by immediately walking away to try something else rather than continue to confront her demons. Eventually, however, she comes back to the only place left, her and the program, and it prompts her to reveal her fears. She's not afraid of death, but of failure. As she says again, this is probably in reference to her initial mutiny and imprisonment way back from when we first saw her, It doesn't matter if she was exonerated and re-enlisted, she still did it, and it eventually got her captain killed. We already saw how much she has changed from her initial self in Season 1 when she met that version of her in Episode 4 Changes. She was masking her fear with brash confidence and arrogance back then, and although she is far more emotionally available now, it's still a mask for her deepest fears. She worries that she'll not be a good enough friend, officer, partner, and more, so she dives headfirst into danger, pushes herself to succeed, and distances herself from Book. It's good stuff, and even plays on the issues voiced by some that Burnham keeps being the one to do everything, or at least more than she should. I agree with that in part, but this justifies a lot of her behaviour, and it's a fantastic moment of introspection on the character. Let's see if it pays off with longer results. Book also has his emotional moment, where he's given a piece of world root in a Thule wood box. The Thule trees were central to several Kwejan rituals and blessings, so it's clearly a ceremonial piece, and with Kwejan gone, it's emotional for him to have such an important part of it with him, a piece of the nature his people so deeply respected. Space druids. We also get to see Reese take the con, and he does a great job. With both the first officer and captain indisposed and Saru no longer on board, it's great to see a new person in the chair, and even making solid calls. Makes me think that this guy can indeed have a future in command, or something in the end. He did the job well, utilised the crew's knowledge to the best of their abilities, and saved the day. In part. Reno gets some more time to dryly wit her way through tense scenes. And Rayner fights alongside Book in a hit-and-run battle through the archives, and it reminds me of Bajor vs Cardassians having to fall back on their resistance training. Hyrel is also a joy to watch, a bright-eyed Efrosian that has this very quirky librarian quality to her in person, even if her disclaimers and spiel come across as rehearsed and near automated. Although yes, that is exactly what it's supposed to be. I particularly enjoyed her eventual refusal to serve Rune in the mild reminder that the archives contain Breen relics too. Also, at the end, was I the only one who wanted Michael to smash that crystal with the clue in it, only for nothing to fall out and her to be like, whoops, wrong one, before finding a similar one next to it? It might have hampered the tension of the scene, I guess. Overall, a solid episode that was emotionally weighted, and although I didn't feel at any time Michael was in danger, there's always the chance that someone can be killed off, creating a do we resurrect them or luck kind of deal if the progenitor tech is a one-time use thing. So, we'll see. Until the next part, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.